Agathocles of Bactria. Bactria. Agathocles I Dikaios. Greek. Agathocles was an ephemeral Greco-Bactrian / Indo-Greek king who reigned between around 190 and 180 BC, likely of the dynasty of Diodotus I, due to his commemoration of Antiochos Nikator. Accounts. There is a near-complete lack of written sources except an extensive coinage. This was probably due to the use of linen pages. His father may have been Diodotus II, and he would therefore have been illegitimate. Discovery. Agathocles was first discovered by Johann Martin Honigberger in 1834, with hordes of coins being discovered at a rapid pace. No sooner had Desire Rael Rachet held him to be the founder of the Bactrian dynasty than he was rejected by Christian Lassen, who felt that Agathocles was a contemporary of Demetrius and Eucratides I. Biography. Agathocles ruled c. 185 BC and was probably the immediate successor of Pantaleon. He was a contemporaneous relative, maybe son of Demetrius I, who was busy expanding towards India. He was challenged by Antiochos I, depending on the results, which is not accurately ascertainable. He was either immediately ousted by Antiochos I or a few years later by an usurper Eucratides I. Coinage. No gold mints have been found. Bronze and silver mints were commonplace. Copper mints having significant nickel were discovered by Flight in 1868. Francois Weidmann believes them to have had an intermediate value between bronze and silver. Commemorative coinage. Agathocles issued a series of coins mentioning a variety of rulers. The first of these types was acquired by a Russian explorer Nikolai Dekhonikov from Bukhara and published by Jean-Jacques Barthélemy. On the obverse was the usual image of Diodotus, but with an epithet of Soteros, savior instead of Basileus, and on the reverse was the usual image of Zeus, but with an additional inscription that read Basileuantos Agiae. Ruling. This peculiar coinage led to significant debate among numismatists. Barthélemy had construed the coins to venerate a dead ancestor, but Johann Gustav Droysen argued to significant acclaim that it meant Agathocles was ruling as a subordinate of Diodotus. Precisely similar coins, but commemorating other rulers, were located in the following decades: Euthydemus 1858 and Antiochus 1868. A coin of the same kind commemorating Diodotus, but struck by Antiochus, was also chanced upon. Scholars increasingly accepted the reasoning of Droysen, and Cunningham proposed that Agathocles alongside Antiochus first ruled under Diodotus and then under Euthydemus and Antiochus. The general understanding of Bactrian kingdom around the middle 19th century hold all of these kings to be contemporaneous co-rulers. Among the rare dissenting voices was Alfred von Sallet, who asserted that these ancestor coins were struck for the purpose of commemoration and rejected that these rulers were contemporary, based on the design of coins. In 1880, a same kind of coin struck by Agathocles, but commemorating Alexander, son of Philip, was published by Percy Garnder of British Museum. That it was impossible for Agathocles to be a sub-king of someone who had ruled about 200 years earlier, Droysen's explanation was summarily rejected in favor of Sallet. Gardner proposed that THC coins were struck to increase his public on the eve of an eventually successful challenge by Eucratides II. In the early mid-1900s, Hugh Rowinson and William Tarn would extrapolate Gardner's ideas to further their visions of a grand Hellenistic past where Agathocles had faked his pedigree and Eucratides I was carrying out the orders of Antiochus Romanus. Other scholars generally avoided any significant swelling on these ancestor coins. More varieties of these coins would be discovered later. These mention Diodotus II, Demetrius II, and Demetrius. In the last few decades, such coins have been discovered in more numbers, but the accuracy of these finds remain plagued by the fact that these did not come from controlled excavations, but auction networks. They were evaluated by scholars only after they have traveled continents and passed through multiple hands. It has been since accepted that these coins indeed represented Agathocles' predecessors. The precise context of minting and significance is still not clear. Religious coinage. Agathocles was unique in issuing bilingual coinage. Meant for local circulation in Gandhara, they were typically of smaller denominations, square or rectangular in shape, and minted in bronze or silver. The obverse had his portrait labeled in Greek, while the reverse had imagery from the Buddhist as well as Hindu pantheon alongside inscriptions in Brahmi/Kharosthi. Monolingual coinage in Kharosthi of similar kinds have been discovered. These finds have led scholars to conclude that Agathocles favored socio-religious tolerance. Osman Boparachti hold him to have inaugurated the first Indo-Greek era, others have been skeptic. Buddhist symbols such as the stupa and the tree in railing have been located in his coins. Hindu. On 3 October 1970, 6 Indian standard silver drachmas were discovered at the administrative quarters of Ai Khanoum from a pilgrim's water vessel by a team of French archaeologists. These coins are the first numismatic representations of Vedic deities and serve as key evidences about Bhagavatism being the first form of Vishnu cult in early India. The coins display early avatars of Vishnu, Balarama Sankarsana with attributes of pestle and plough on reverse, and Vasudeva Krishna with attributes of Shankha and Sudarshana Chakra on obverse. On the basis of the coins bearing characteristic trademarks of Indian sculpture, frontal pose as opposed to three-quarter, stiff and starched folds and drapes, absence of proportions, and sideways disposition of feet, Audouin and Bernard speculated that the engravings were by Indian artists. Boparachti disputes the conclusion and points out the misrepresentational depictions of Vasudeva Krishna's chatra with a headdress and conch with a high-necked vase. He hypothesizes that a Greek artist had engraved the coin from a now lost or undiscovered sculpture. A dancing girl, found on the obverse of some bronze coins of Agathocles, are believed to be representations of Subhadra.